Welcome to the stress-free coding tutorial. Today we will continue to talk about Angular with Part 3. If you haven't seen my previous video in which I explain how Angular works and how a project is structured, take a look. I'm stoked, so let's start right away because this part will be full of interesting content. In fact, I tell you about component code, decorators, metadata, ngModule, TypeScript class, how run application. Hey, stop. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. Let's take this one step at a time. Component code. Open Visual Studio Code. The last opened project will be reloaded automatically, or select the folder containing the scaffolder created last time from File menu, Open Folder. Let's see this component code. In the app directory you find some files. The scaffolder already has a component called app.component. Let's see this component code. A component can be composed of 2 or 3 files, an HTML files, where you define the page layout, a TypeScript file, where the component logic resides, and an optional CSS file that contains the style rule. There is also a for file that has the word speech in its name. Also, this is optional dedicated to the last phase, but for now we ignore it. Start now a TypeScript file. The first statement is import followed by a path. Import statement must be used every time you need to integrate a class, a service, or a library of a project or external to the project. Let's move on and skip the add component statement for a moment, but we come back and spend a few more words on it. Selector is the name of a tag that you find if you open the index.html page. Open for a moment index.html. And to give it a look is the base page where the contents are loaded, so where the components are loaded. What is the selector attribute for? Selector tell to Angular, okay, when you show this component, load it into this tag, uproot. You can define another selector and then add the new tags in the HTML page. Template URL is the relative path where the HTML code of a component is located. You remember what I told you last time about data binding. With this data binding system, template and component logic update each other. Style URLs are the relative path of CSS files and are optionals. You can avoid defining a style sheet for the component because you prefer to use a single style sheet shared among all the components, or because you prefer to write inline CSS, so delete the CSS file from the project and leave array empty. To do so you will have to indicate only the square brackets. Decorators. Let's go back to the add component. In Angular, statements preceded by the add symbol is a form you will often find and are called decorators. Now you will ask me, okay, but what is a decorator for? Okay, anytime you want to say, hey Angular, now I start coding a class, and you will have to treat it the way I tell you through the decorator. If you use add component, guess what? Well said. Angular will treat this class as component. A decorator, in addition to telling Angular what kind of class you are writing, involves adding metadata to provide to the class. Selector, template URLs, styles URLs are metadata of component. Now open app.module.typescript. Here you find another type of decorator, ngModule. If you use ngModule, Angular will treat the class as module. In this case, of ngModule, metadata are different. Declarations is an array that contains reference to a component or services. Imports instead is an array of modules. Bootstrap is also an array, but an array of components executed when the application starts. Then there are other ngModule metadata. If you want to dip in and find more details in Angular docs. TypeScript class. Now that you know what a decorator, let's look at this class created by the setup is just a declaration, but inside it does not contain any logic. This is because, as we will see after run of this application, a static page will loaded where there is no interaction with the user. So there is no logic or a request for data to a server. The keyword class is preceded by the keyword export. Export can also be used for variables, functions, and interfaces. An object marked with export can be imported somewhere else in the project or in another project with the import statement. Next time we will create a new component and do some coding class. Run your application. Okay, now it's time to run the application. Open new terminal from menu terminal and type this command: ng space serve, or in the abbreviated form ng space s. Once compiled, the project in the terminal area will be indicated the port on which is listening Angular server. By default is 4200. Now click on the link in the terminal and click follow link to see the output. And this is what the Angular test page looks like. It's a simple static page, but it's very useful because it contains links to the resource for the development. Learn Angular, CLI documentation, Angular material, Angular blog, Angular dev tools, and next steps for development. To stop the Angular server, go back on the terminal and press combination Ctrl+C. In alternative, click on the command button in terminal area, appear a context menu, and then choose the Kill Terminal. That's all. I invite you to like and subscribe to the channel for next stress-free coding video.